Welcome to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Gemma, a nutritionist and mindset coach passionate about all things health and wellness. I'm going to take you on a journey to discovering what health means for you and how to create a life you love living. I'm on a mission to uplift those who feel overwhelmed with what it means to be healthy, reminding you, my listeners, that nutrition is only one aspect of health, and empower you to live your best life on your terms. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. I thought I would talk a bit today about myself, really. I actually just had a really good chat with my business coach and mentor. She has her own podcast. So I went on her podcast today and just kind of talked about my own experience, and I will share it with you guys because it was a really good chat. But I just thought I haven't really dived into my own story and why I'm doing what I'm doing today in depth. Like I've told you guys a little bit here and there, but I haven't told you the full extent. And I just feel like, you know, you love hearing people's backstory because it's relatable, and I just feel like that you'll get a lot out of this, just understanding kind of where I've come from, really. It's been a really good day today. Like today has been a bit full on. It's been busy because I had my mastermind chat too within our mentor group. And then I went straight into being a guest on her podcast. So it has been full on. And then I've just decided straight away, like I wasn't even going to record this episode today, but I was like, no, I'm feeling really good. And my vibes are high. I think I actually want to record this now because I have it all in my brain right now. And I just want this to be authentic and you really to understand my story and why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Like why I am a nutritionist and mindset coach and how I've combined the two to create a program that can help my clients. So really, let's begin, I guess. As you all know, I was a dancer, and I had some interest in nutrition, and I had some interest in, learning about food and being the healthiest I can be. And I've always eaten healthy. I think I've said this before. I've always eaten healthy because I like the challenge too of like trying to find the healthiest diet. Like literally any diet out there I have tried. But it became obsessive. Like I've said this before, I turned it into an obsession, really. And how I kind of came about becoming a coach is last year. So for the last 6 years, my mum, my sister, and we have all had our own family business. So we did that for 6 years. We had a beauty salon and we worked within the beauty industry. And I actually went and got my beauty diploma while we were running this business. So it was a bit full on. We were running the business. I went and got my beauty diploma. I was studying part-time while being in the business, while also learning how to run my own business. Like we'd never run our own business before, and everything was new. I also then got married at that time. I then went on our honeymoon, which we went to America. And then I came back and we got pregnant. I had a baby. This was all still while I was studying to be a skin therapist. So I was studying and I was pregnant. I would go to the beauty school, which, I think I was like 24 at the time. And a lot of these girls have just come out of high school. And I was there with this big belly, a baby inside me, and I'm still like learning. And I was in my, because you wear, when you go to this beauty school, you wear your hair in a slick back bun. You have to wear bright red lipstick. And then you have this uniform that looks very like clinical, I guess. It's like white and grey and long sleeves and long pants. And I already look young as it is. But when my hair is slicked back and I'm wearing bright red lipstick like that, I looked so young. And I had this big belly, like I had a baby inside me. I could only imagine what it would have looked like to everyone else around me. Like this was some big mistake. This young girl's been knocked up. But it was definitely planned. Like my husband and I 100% always wanted a baby like this. I just didn't expect I was going to be studying at the time. But you know, it is what it is, and I did it. And I was proud of myself that I still went there while I had this big baby inside me. I gave birth. I still hadn't finished my course. I went back and then finished my course while my daughter was 6 months old. I remember like I was at the course and everyone was on lunch break and everyone was off eating lunch, and I asked the teacher if I could stay inside and breast pump because I had milk. I was still breastfeeding. So I was like, I have milk that I have to get out. I had to do a pump and dump while I was studying at this, college for beauty. And while we were also trying to run a business too. And she was 6 months at the time. Then she was 9 months and all of a sudden COVID hit and we were all in lockdown. So we were all in lockdown. I had to postpone my studies and we had to close down the business. And at the time, we all didn't really understand what was going to happen with COVID. We kind of thought like, at the start, it was kind of like an exciting thing. But for anyone who lived in Melbourne, Australia, you will know how much we were in lockdown and how over it we all got. It was just so exhausting, and we also all forgot how to like interact and be social with everyone. And so we would go in and out, so our business would open and close, and then I had to also go back to my studies. So when it would open, I would go back to my studies. I finally finished that off in 2020. In 2020. And then we finally, I think the lockdowns finally stopped happening by 2022, I think. It went for a while. And then I also had my son. You guys are going to think I'm crazy. I also had my son and he was born in 2021. So literally like trying to run a business, going in and out of lockdown, trying to have a baby, trying to study. It was just insane. Anyway, in this business that we were doing, as we said, like my mum, my sister and I, we didn't really know what we were doing. And a lot of the time we were comparing ourselves to others out there. We were comparing ourselves to other businesses. We were getting our own business coaches that were telling us we need to do this, this, and this. And we never really focused on ourselves. We never understood, like, what is it that we really wanted to do with this business? What is it that our strengths are? What do we really love? We also never did our own self-development, all three of us. And I really do feel like that would have benefited the business so much if we had have just done the inner work, like had have all three of us done our own thing, because we all had our own thing going on at the time too. And personal things going on that was highly stressful. And we all lacked confidence at the end of the day too. We all lacked that confidence and the belief in ourselves. And this is where I kind of spiraled from after that. So since the moment when I started dancing, I've always used nutrition as a way to cope. And I didn't realize at the time that that's what I was doing. But since I was dancing, I'd always been like, if everything else wasn't working, at least I can be the healthiest version of me and I can work on my intake of my food, and then everything else will feel like it's fine because I've got that under control. And that was okay at that time. It wasn't as toxic. But when it came to us running the salon, it got a bit more obsessive, because the salon, I couldn't control COVID. I couldn't control what was happening with the business. We were really struggling when we came back after COVID to find our feet again. We were struggling with personal things that were going on in our lives, like together as a family, but also individually as well. And then, it was just toward the end, it was only my mum and I working there, because the other two girls that were working, they were both pregnant, having their babies. And mum and I together were both struggling mentally with our own things. And so everything just felt out of whack. Like everything felt like, it felt like my whole life was something that was just out of control, and I couldn't do anything to control it. And also during that same time, my husband and I had sold our first house that we ever built together. We sold that, and then we bought land, and we were waiting for that house to be built. But due to COVID, it took so much longer than expected. So we were living with my parents at the time, and things were going on personally in our family life that was creating a lot of drama. And then I was pregnant with my son, Brooklyn, and I developed kidney stones in my 3rd trimester. So I was going in and out of hospital with extreme pain. It was just a crazy intense time. Like looking back, there was so much going on, and it felt like the world was against me, really. It felt like I couldn't control it, and I was like, why does this stuff keep happening to us? Why isn't our house built already? Why is it taking so long? And I couldn't find the answers, and that was affecting me so much mentally. During this time, I'll also add, that's when I found out that I had Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. And I was like, what else? What else is the world going to throw at me? And I started waking up in the mornings, and my body would feel really achy and feel really sore. I'm not kidding. Like, it felt so sore. I didn't understand what was happening. I couldn't get out of bed. I would try to do little things and I would be shaking. I know I shake a lot if I drink coffee, but sometimes I wouldn't even be drinking coffee and people would notice and go, Gemma, you're shaking. What's going on? And I was getting sick often, and I was feeling like I kept blaming Hashimoto's, and I kept saying it's because of Hashimoto's. It's because of my autoimmune disease. I'd go to the doctors. I would get blood tests after blood tests. We would try different things, and they were like, you're fine. Like, nothing's wrong. Like, you're fine. So you know what I could control? Like, what I went to was my diet, my nutrition. It's what I did again, what I've always done. I started cutting out gluten. I cut out dairy because that's what, if you read about any autoimmune disease, they always say cut out gluten, cut out dairy. So I did that. And nothing was changing. My body, when I woke up in the morning, I'm not kidding, it was aching, and I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, why is my body aching? I went to my doctors and I just gave up, and I just told my doctor all of this. And then I told her how, our house is getting built and we're trying to wait for a house, and so it's just all a bit stressful too. And she was like, Gemma, I do not think that it has anything to do with your autoimmune disease and what you're eating. I think you are suffering from severe anxiety and depression. And I was like, what? No, that can't be it. That's so, it sounded so simple to me. And I was like, no, I had to, like, in deep down, I had to pin it on something. I had to pin it on something else. I wanted to blame the autoimmune disease because I felt like then that makes sense why my body's aching. I didn't believe like, oh, my body can't be aching because I'm anxious and depressed. It's got to be because of the autoimmune disease. That makes more sense to me. But she gave me anxiety medication, and I did take that, and things did get better, and people did notice a difference. And I think in that moment, it was good that I had found a fix, but it was also like I felt like a failure. I felt like, oh my God, I can't get my shit together. I've got anxiety and depression. And it made me feel like I had failed at something. And it's not until now when I look back and I go, oh my gosh, like my self-confidence, my self-worth, like it was so low. Like I just found out I had anxiety and depression. And instead of being grateful that I had discovered that and that I can now work on healing those parts of me, I was once again being negative to myself, going, oh, look at you, like how much of a failure you, like you couldn't even get your mindset together. It's so easy just to think differently. How can you not do that? Like I was so hard on myself. So yeah, I ended up then talking. It's funny, one day at the salon, it was just my mum and my sister and we had a rep come in who is the most amazing rep I've ever had. Like it was literally we were supposed to just talk about products and stuff because we're a skin therapist, so we're selling skin products and we're supposed to just talk about that. But instead, she is literally like, she changed my life, and I hope she does listen to this one day and I can be like, this is you who I'm talking about. But we literally were just talking about us, just talking about what's going on internally and healing that part of us. And we all had the biggest like breakdown session. I was crying, my mum was crying, even my sister was crying, she's not a big crier. But we're all big criers in a way, but my sister is the least crying of us all. And we all had a breakdown, and I was just like, it was so eye-opening. It was like, wow. For so long, like we couldn't figure out why we couldn't get the salon to work. And even though we were doing everything that everyone else told us to do, we were doing all the work. Why isn't it working? And it was because that we didn't believe in ourselves. We didn't believe that we could do it. Deep down, we didn't think we were worth it in the end. And literally this rep had a chat to my mum the other day. Like they called up and she was like, you guys had everything. You guys had everything in the making to make that business amazing. But what it was your lack in self-belief. And I was like, yeah, if we had just believed in ourselves, that like we could have definitely skyrocketed that business. Like we had so much knowledge around skin and health, and we were seeing the results with the clients we had, but we still didn't believe we were good enough. And I think this stems a lot from childhood. I do believe a lot of it comes from what you kind of got told growing up, and and what you kind of experienced growing up too. So what ended up happening is that we sold the business and we ended up moving from Melbourne to Gold Coast. And when we moved here, I was like to Shane, I don't want to go back to working for someone. I loved the feeling of working on my own and working, having my own business. I want to do that again. And so he was so supportive, and I was like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, and I'm gonna make this business work. And And I had done, as I've told you all in the past, I had started working on myself, done the inner work. I was doing meditations every morning, journaling each day, reading self-help books. I read that many self-help books. And I decided to start my business because things were working for me. Things were getting better. And I knew what it was. It was because it wasn't just to do with the nutrition side of things. It was to do, 90% of it, I believe, is to do with your mindset. Like, it's going to be about your mindset. So that's when things started to click for me. That's when I started making big changes. And that's when people started looking at me going, Gemma, you're glowing now. You seem so much happier. Your confidence has grown. What's going on? And literally, there was no big secret. It was just that my confidence was slowly growing. So at the end of the day, this is what I really believe in. You can implement any diet you want to, and you can achieve any result that you want. You can do it 100%. But what it comes down to is if you truly believe in yourself that you can do it. Because that's what I discovered for me. I tried every diet. And what's funny is I had done fasting in the past, but I believed it didn't work for me. Flash forward now, and I am obsessed with fasting and I love it. And the biggest thing that's changed from then to now is my mindset. So when you see a lot of conflicting information out there in the nutrition world, like this diet's the best for you or this one, and you're like, oh, I'm getting confused and it's getting overwhelming, just remember that you can do whatever you want to do and anything can work for you, but you just have to believe it will. And that's why there's so many influencers out there and so many educators saying, you have to do this way, like this way worked amazing for me. And what I believe in is I believe that, yeah, it worked for you because you wholeheartedly believe it would, and it does. I know that just sounds like, it's just kind of mind-blowing because it's it makes sense, doesn't it? It does make sense. If you truly believe that it'll work, it will. And what was lacking for me during this time of when I hit my lowest, when I was feeling so down on myself and when I was trying to control myself with diet, that I needed to work on myself. I needed to start believing in myself. I needed to start doing my inner work in order for the rest to fix itself. And what's crazy is I started doing all this inner work and those things did happen. My skin cleared up. I lost weight. I'm now going back to my doctor trying to do more tests for my Hashimoto's because I'm now taking less medication than what's needed. And the doctor's like, you don't need to take that much anymore. I don't know why, but you don't need to. And I was like, oh, it's probably because everything I'm doing, it's working now. We've talked about stress, I've calmed that part down. I'm less anxious. I'm not on anxiety medication anymore. I no longer need it. And I totally believe in anxiety medication if you need it for the time, definitely 100%. I'm never saying don't take it. I'm just saying that you can get to a point where you don't need it. It's not going to be forever unless you believe it's going to be forever. If you believe that you can never get off it, then that's what will happen. So yeah, this is what I then started. I wanted to become a nutritionist, so I started my nutrition course last year. I've always, as I said, I've always loved nutrition. I've read that many books on it since I was 18. So, it's been 12 years and I've just always learnt about nutrition, blood sugar levels, spikes, the difference between carbs and different types of carbs, and I am obsessed. Like, I love learning about it. But now what's made my whole business a game changer is I'm not just focused on that aspect. I truly believe it's about working on your mindset first. And that's why I created this Thrive program, with my clients. It's 1-to-1 and it goes for 6 months. And I've created a portal for my clients that they can have modules and tools to go to. But the whole first few modules are all on your mindset. It's all about finding out your identity, finding out who you are right now, and understanding why, if you've tried things in the past, why it didn't work, and try to find those reasons instead of the external blames that you might have been making, which is hard. Like, that's hard work, because you have to search within yourself. You have to get to those parts of you that your body doesn't want you to work on, because it can bring up trauma and it can be stressful, and your mind will do whatever it can to avoid that. But that's literally what the Thrive program's all about. I'm teaching you how to work on your mindset, how to love yourself, how to have that self-worth, that self-confidence, the psychology behind it all. And then so that when you make the change, because there will be a change. So when when you want to, say if it's lose weight, you have to know that when you lose weight, you're going to be a different person after that. You're not going to be the same person you are now. You're going to be a different identity, and your body and your mind, it's not going to like that, because it's out of its comfort state. So what it's going to want to do is it's going to want to bring you back to that same person who had that weight before, and then that's why you're most likely to put on the weight. But if you've done this inner work first and you lose the weight, you know what your brain and your mind, you know what it's trying to do. You're so much more self-aware, and you have the tools now to prevent that from ever happening and make this big life change sustainable. And that's what's missing out there with a lot of these health programs. It's all focusing on, eating, having a meal plan, and stick to this meal plan for this amount of time and you'll see results. Try this calorie deficit diet, do these exercises, meal prep, do whatever you can, and due to your diet, and this is how you'll get the results. Whereas my program, we don't even go into your diet at the start. It's all based on your mindset. Because if you, really, everyone kind of knows what they should and shouldn't be eating at the end of the day. Everyone knows that ultra-processed foods aren't good for us. And ultra-processed foods meaning like McDonald's, or takeaways, hot chips. We all know that's not good for us. It's not like anyone out there is saying, eat this takeaway, it's really healthy. We're not stupid. We know that that's not good for us. But why do we go for it then? Why do we eat lots of it? And I know straight away you're going to blame things like it's easier, it's more convenient, it's tasty. But I believe deep down there's a bigger reason. It's okay if you're having it once in a while, but if you're having it all the time and you know it's bad for you, there's a reason deep down. And I'm really into Adlerian psychology at the moment, and it's all about it focuses on the theory of goal-directed behavior. So thinking about, instead of looking towards what's happened in your past and that's why you are the way you are now, looking for what's going on now and the goal of why you are the way you are now. So for example, say that you keep saying I've tried to lose weight, but I'm not losing weight. And I've tried every single diet, but it doesn't work. Nothing works for me. I'm weight loss resistant. I cannot lose weight. Well, if you try the Adlerian psychology behind this, instead of focusing that way, you could focus it on, I'm not losing weight because I don't want to lose weight. Like, that's the goal that's actually intended. And you're going to be like, that's crazy. Of course I want to lose weight. Why would I not want to lose weight? That's insane. And it's because there could be something behind that. There could be the fear that if you lose weight, you know deep down that you're going to be a different person. You're going to show up differently. You might lose friends. They might not like, or it might be harder to sustain a healthy eating diet when they're always eating bad, and you just don't want that conflict and that confrontation. So you're halting yourself from ever progressing. What we tend to do is we'll blame it on external factors, or we'll blame it on like how we've grown up. So I've been this way because, I've had this in the past, and now let's go off like me, for example, because I'm telling my story. I might as well go off my example. Say I had an autoimmune disease. I got given Hashimoto's, and I kept blaming that as to why I'm not feeling better. I was like, I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and that's why I keep putting on weight. That's why I'm depressed. That's why I'm anxious. It's because of the Hashimoto's. And if you look it up, like, those are the symptoms. So, of course, I Googled it, and that's the symptoms, and that's what I said, well, that's why I have it. But if you use this psychology, I should start looking at it as like, I am not losing weight, and I am anxious and I am depressed because there is something inside of me that likes this state. I want to be in this position and I don't want to move. And when you really dive into the why behind that, like, why could I have felt like that? Well, probably because I might not have felt heard growing up. I might not have felt like I was getting enough attention. So I was doing this because I was becoming my own victim, and I wanted someone else to save me. I didn't also want to do the inner work because that meant bringing things up that I don't want to bring up, that are painful. So it's easier for me to blame the Hashimoto's that I was diagnosed with than to try to figure out a way out of it. Which I know can be, it's just, this whole concept can be really eye-opening and really like, wow, okay, maybe that's what's going on with me. So if you join me in the Thrive program, just know it's going to be, first, we're going to really dive into the mindset behind what's going on in your life. Like, why are you feeling this way? What's happened to get you here? What's worked? What hasn't? And then, of course, we will dive into the nutrition side of things. Like, of course, I'm going to try to help you discover like what's going to work best for you, what foods, and how to create a really healthy, sustainable lifestyle. But first, I really do believe that inner work is so, so, so important. And just having someone there to support you throughout this journey can be the big make or break to getting your results. Having someone there that is holding your hand, that is like, I'm here for you, I want this for you, is like it's just amazing how much of a motivator that is. And that's what I'm here for. Like, literally, I will do whatever it takes to make sure you get those results and that they are sustainable. I'm not here for a quick fix. It's why I made my program 6 months. I don't want to make it 3, because 3 is not enough time to do those massive changes. If you've been this way your whole life, it's going to take a lot longer than 3 months to change those deep programs that you may have inside you. So yeah, if anyone is interested in signing up for my Thrive program, I'm actually giving an extra 10% off for those who pay up front within these next 2 weeks. So by the end of April, and then the deal's gone. But an extra 10% off when you pay up front, because there's already 10% off when you pay up front. Getting an extra 10%, that gives you over $1,000 off my course. And if you see anything out there and you're like, you see any business coaches or health coaches, like not a lot of people are giving $1,000 off their course. Like this is massive. And I'm doing it because I want to help you. I want to get you there. I want you to feel this, what I'm feeling, because it works. 100% it works. It's so frustrating that I can't show you even more, but it works, this stuff. And I doubted it at the beginning too, but it 100% works. Also, I have put up, if anyone's really interested in the fasting for women, the mastermind that I did, it was recorded and I've now put it in my bio. So that is free to go and watch. And it is filled with so much information around fasting to our cycle and how you should fast as a woman. And easy, little tips on how you can do it. But it's really just the beginning of it. There's a lot more in depth, but I could only fit in what I could within an hour. So go and watch that. As I said, it's in my bio. I do have a wellness retreat also coming up with my good friend Gabby. She has her own business called My Bliss Oasis, and we are holding a wellness retreat all around women's health and the cycle. That is going to be held one in Brisbane and one in the Gold Coast in the month of June. So if this intrigues you at all, please let me know, because I will put you straight away onto our wait list, because we are only allowing I think we're only going to get up to 10 women, just because we don't have a huge space. Later down the track, would love to do one with a bigger space, but at the moment, that's why we're doing 2 locations. We literally only have enough for 10 women. If you are really intrigued with this and you don't want to miss out, please send me a message and I will put your name down on the wait list, so you'll get first in line. You'll get first preference. But it's going to be a whole big wellness retreat around us as women and our hormones and our cycle. Gabby is amazing with the mindset and spirituality of things. She also is a Pilates instructor. So she has a wealth of knowledge, and you are just going to learn so much. Plus we'll do some little activities, and you get a workbook with it as well to take home. And I'll be there, of course, as well, talking about nutrition side of things, how to eat to your cycle, what foods you should eat at different times, and how a fasting lifestyle works and why it benefited me and why I love it, really. But as I said, with Thrive, it is a 6-month program. So my last intake is going to be end of May, start of June. I'm not taking any more for the rest of this year, which is crazy. So please, please, please don't miss out. If this is something that is intriguing you, is like, I need this. And if you set, New Year's resolutions at the start of this year and you're falling off the bandwagon, it's not too late. If you do this program, I can get you them. I can get you them by November. Like, we will be finished by November. Can you imagine actually achieving those results that you wanted just before Christmas, and showing up to Christmas at the family events as that identity that you've always wanted, at that person, as that having those results that you've always wanted? I can get you there. So please don't miss out. This offer is only going for 2 weeks with $1,000 off. But yeah, that is all for today's episode. It's really just on believing in yourself, your self-worth, and really just a backstory on why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So I'll chat to you all in the next episode, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.